Hey everyone, welcome back for another deep dive with us. This time, we're going to be looking at Interlock Consulting
Oh, yeah.
and their approach to organizational capacity building.
Interesting.
So not just like training programs, but really how to like empower people for success in the long term. We've got some interesting source material here. We've got some excerpts directly from Interlock, and then also an independent analysis of how they do things. So by the end of this, you should have a pretty solid grasp of like their whole philosophy
Yeah.
and the different services they offer.
So I think one of the most interesting things about Interlock is that they really go beyond just like the surface level. They don't just like treat the symptoms. They want to like completely transform the entire organizational culture.
Transformation, that sounds intense. What does that actually like look like for an organization and the people in it?
Yeah, it really is about addressing the root causes of problems, not just putting Band-Aids on things. And so they focus on three main pillars, which are changing the culture, empowering the employees, and then fostering sustainable growth. And all of these together will help an organization be more resilient and successful.
I like this sustainable growth. It's not about like short-term gains. It's really about building something that will last. So how do they actually start this kind of change? Like, what's the secret sauce here?
They ignite transformation by fostering deep listening, a meaningful dialogue, and a culture of trust and belonging. And those aren't just buzzwords. That's really like the bedrock of a healthy and thriving workplace.
You know, it's funny when you think about it. When any of those things are missing in a workplace, you can really feel it. It just like impacts everything. But when those are present, it's like such a breath of fresh air.
Exactly. It all comes down to when people feel heard and they feel respected and they feel a sense of belonging. They're naturally going to be more productive, more creative, and way more engaged. So just imagine a workplace where everybody feels psychologically safe to just speak their mind and share their ideas and just be themselves authentically. That's the kind of environment that Interlock really helps to create.
That kind of brings us to the bigger picture. Interlock talks about helping organizations find their organizational ikigai. Did I say that right?
You did, ikigai. It's the Japanese concept of ikigai, which is all about finding purpose and meaning in life. And Interlock basically applies this to organizations by helping them align their mission and values with what society actually needs.
So it's about more than just like making a profit. It's about making like a real difference in the world.
Exactly. When organizations define the ikigai, they tap into this deeper sense of purpose, and that can be so motivating for literally everyone involved. Just imagine waking up every morning and knowing that your work is contributing to something bigger than yourself.
Yeah, that's powerful. But let's get down to brass tacks here. What does Interlock actually do? Like, what kind of services do they offer?
They offer a whole spectrum of services, like everything from your classic training workshops to like highly specialized programs. It's like they have a tool for any situation an organization might find itself in.
Okay, I'm picturing a giant toolbox now. What kind of tools are we talking about?
Well, they have like the foundational stuff like training and workshops where they focus on, building specific skills and knowledge. It's like sharpening the saw, giving people the know-how to do their jobs really well.
Right, and that would be tailored to different needs, I imagine, not like one size fits all.
Absolutely. They also have these qualifications and certification programs, so helping people meet industry standards, like say you need a specific certification in project management or data analysis, they can help with that.
Okay, so it's about making sure everyone has the right credentials. What else?
Then there's awareness raising and talks. These are more about like getting everyone on the same page regarding, key themes or ideas in the organization. So say a company is going through a major cultural shift or implementing a new strategic direction. These talks can be a powerful way to communicate that to the entire workforce.
Okay, so it's about building understanding and buy-in across the board. Yeah, I could see how that would be crucial for any kind of big change.
Absolutely. Now, things get really interesting with their custom development programs. As the name suggests, these are programs that are totally bespoke to meet the specific needs of each organization. It's a mix of hands-on learning, coaching, and strategic guidance.
So it's like a tailored suit instead of off the rack.
You got it. And that's where their whole thing about co-creation really comes in. They don't just come in with like pre-packaged solutions. They actually work closely with the leadership and the employees to understand the organization's unique challenges and goals. And then they design a program that actually addresses those needs.
That makes a lot of sense. So no cookie cutter solution here. We were talking earlier about Interlock's focus on leadership development. What do those programs look like?
Well, their leadership training, coaching, and mentoring program are really about equipping leaders with the skills they need to inspire and guide and empower their teams. It's about moving away from that old command and control style of leadership and towards something that's more collaborative and people-centric.
So it's not just about giving orders, it's about creating an environment that's more supportive and empowering. It sounds like this also ties into their emphasis on soft skills development, right?
For sure, they recognize that even like the most technically skilled employee won't really thrive if they can't communicate effectively or work well with others. So their behavioral and soft skills development programs focus on things like emotional intelligence and collaboration, adaptability, communication. Essential skills for anybody, really, regardless of your job title.
So they're helping to build a workforce that's not just competent, but also emotionally intelligent and adaptable. Now, what about synergy within the value chain? I remember you mentioned that earlier. It's one thing to talk about collaboration across different departments, but actually making it happen is a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, that's a good point. It can definitely be a challenge, but that's why they have a service specifically designed to help organizations break down those silos and really foster genuine collaboration. So they work to identify any barriers to communication, and then they develop strategies to overcome them.
So it's about getting everyone rowing in the same direction. When different departments can seamlessly work together, the whole organization benefits, right?
Exactly. And it's not just about like efficiency, it's also about creating a more cohesive and supportive work environment where everyone feels like they're part of a team.
It all sounds great so far. But, change can be hard. Even with the best intentions, organizations often struggle to actually implement new things effectively.
Right, and that's why Interlock has a dedicated change management service. They get that change can be unsettling for people, so they really prioritize communication, support, and transparency throughout the process. They actually call it the people side of change.
I like that. It's about acknowledging that change isn't just about processes and systems. It's about people. It's about helping them adapt and feel supported during times of transition.
Exactly, and it's not just about managing the emotional side of change. It's also about making sure that new strategies and structures are implemented in a way that actually works. So they take this holistic approach, considering both the human and operational aspects.
So it's not just about throwing a new system at people and hoping for the best. It's about bringing everyone along on the journey.
Exactly. Before we wrap up, I want to highlight two more services that I think are particularly interesting. The first is communication and decision-making processes.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's all about helping organizations refine their internal communication frameworks and their decision-making protocols. The goal is to enhance clarity, inclusivity, and efficiency across all levels of the organization. But imagine a workplace where everyone has access to the information they need, where decisions are made transparently, and where everyone feels empowered to actually contribute their ideas.
Sounds like they're creating a much more open and collaborative decision-making process. Less top-down, more participatory.
You got it. And finally, we come back to one of the most unique offerings, organizational ikigai development.
Ah, yes, Ikigai. We touched on this earlier, but I'm really curious to hear more about how they actually help organizations define their Ikigai. It's such a fascinating concept.
It really is. Remember, it's all about helping organizations define their core purpose, like their reason for being that goes beyond just making a profit. It's about answering that question, why do we exist, in a way that really resonates with everyone in the organization.
It's about aligning their work with a greater sense of meaning and purpose. I can see how that would be incredibly motivating for employees.
Absolutely. And that's why Interlock's approach is so compelling. It's not just about improving efficiency or boosting profits. It's about creating a workplace where people can actually thrive and feel connected to something bigger than themselves. It's about building a more human-centered and purpose-driven organization.
Yeah, it really seems like they get it. Like they're taking this much more human-centered approach. They're not just focused on the numbers. They're actually considering the well-being of the people and their aspirations, too.
Yeah, I totally agree. And one thing that's really stood out to me as we've been talking about these services is how much they emphasize long-term sustainability. It's not about those quick fixes or band-aid solutions. They really want to help organizations build a solid foundation that will last for years to come.
It's like they're building a house with strong, durable materials, not something that's going to fall apart at the first sign of trouble. They want to create organizations that can handle anything that comes their way.
Exactly. They know that real capacity building means addressing the root causes, not just the symptoms. And that's where their focus on cultural change and empowering employees and really tapping into that sense of purpose comes in.
Makes you wonder, what could other organizations learn from this? If you had a magic wand and you could transform your workplace culture, what's the one thing you would change?
Oh, that's such a great question. And it's one that we want all of our listeners to think about. Because at the end of the day, the power to create positive change is within each of us. So whether it's advocating for better communication, or supporting employee development, or finding ways to align your work with something that you really care about, we can all make a difference.
It's really inspiring to see an organization like Interlock putting these ideas into action and helping others do the same. It's a good reminder that work doesn't have to be just a job. It can be something that's fulfilling and meaningful.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, if you're interested in learning more about Interlock Consulting and their approach, we encourage you to check out their website. We'll include a link in the notes.
And make sure to join us next time for another deep dive into a fascinating topic. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving to make a positive impact.
Thanks for listening, MJTE.